Hello, flower friends. This is Jen, and you're listening to the Floral Hustle podcast. And today we have a special treat. We are doing another business breakthrough coaching call, and we are doing it with my friend Roberta from, I'm just going to say it the Minnesota way, the Hiawatha Floral Co. She actually came up to my Installation Rockstar tour that we did here in Minneapolis. That was all about sustainability because she is a sustainable florist. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast and talk about your business. So welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and all those fun things?
Thank you, Jeni, for having me on. So I'm Roberta of Hiawatha Floral Design Co. I'm based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. My niche, I guess you could say, is sustainable floral design. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, that's good. So how long have you
Okay.
been in business?
So I've only been in business for about a year.
Okay, and
a year in July.
and you have another job.
Yes.
So you
I'm
work full-time as a nurse, I think, if I understand.
X-ray tech.
X-ray tech. Okay, so even fancier. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing X-ray for about 20 years.
Okay, and what's drawing you to flowers? I mean, how can you not be drawn to flowers? But what's drawing you specifically to flowers?
So I've always loved flowers, but my flower journey began with my grandmother. At the last end of her battle with Parkinson's, she was in a rehabilitation facility. So I would go visit her weekly and I would bring flowers to her. And so it was therapeutic, and I saw how she responded to it, and it helped me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of started my floral journey. So I leaned towards it initially as a form of therapy. And then I just loved flowers and just kind of fell in love with the whole process and of how it makes people happy and just learning all the different flowers. And so that's kind of where I started.
So where are you adding your business? So like what are you doing or want to do with your business right now? Your
So right
goal.
now I'm kind of narrowing down what it is that I want to do. I know what I don't want to do, I guess you could say.
Okay, and what's that?
I don't wanna do grand weddings. So
Okay.
I've kind of figured that out. I was involved with, like, a wedding that was pretty big, and it was my first one. It was on a volunteer basis, but, um, it was very stressful, and I don't like
Yeah.
stress because I have more of an anxious temperament.
Okay.
So I realized that big weddings are not for me.
Okay.
Um, and I also realized that I love the creative process. So a lot of times with weddings, I feel like it's more of white and
Production.
green or yeah, like you're kind of hindered. So I know that a lot of people say that um doing everyday designs are kind of not as efficient, but I actually like it. I like having someone tell me, "Oh, I need flowers for, my sister who's sick," or, I have a friend who just lost his mother last week, so I made flowers for him. Like, I actually enjoy that.
Okay.
So, um, I also like small events, and
Okay.
I wanna get into funeral work too,
Work.
which, at first, initially, I said, "No, absolutely not," because I don't really like that being around death and things and sad
Oh,
things.
who does? But yeah.
But I like being around sad things, but then I learned that, it's the last way to honor someone, who's gone in their family, so I kind of like, "Oh, that's a good way to look at it." So
Okay. So what would you, I think if I hear you correctly, you kind of want to do some everyday just because that gives you joy. You want to get into funerals and probably stay on the smaller wedding and event side, but want them to
mhm.
be fun. Is that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I've actually kind of marketed myself a little bit, on my website and on Instagram as, like, micro and, oh, the word is escaping me.
Elopement.
Elopement, yes, thank you, elopement
Okay.
wedding.
Okay. And how do you feel that's going so far? Do you feel like it's the traction you want so far, or you feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing? I mean, how do you feel about where everything is at right now for how long you've been doing it?
I'm not happy with what.
Okay. Okay. And what aren't you happy with?
Um, I'm not getting any traction, and I'm just trying to figure out why. I kind of feel like I'm doing all the things that I've been told I should do.
Okay.
I'm building up my portfolio. I have a website. I'm posting on social media quite frequently, I think. Um,
And
but
how frequent is quite frequent, just so I understand?
like every other day or every
Every other
2
day?
days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And so it's just giving you kind of sporadic business right now, or is this sporadic business really coming from like friends and family?
yeah.
Friends and
Yeah,
family. Okay.
my business is coming through word of mouth through family and friends and coworkers, that kind of thing.
Okay. So couple things. Where do you want like what if it was like Roberta is happy now because this is happening, what does that look like? Financially or like, creatively, whatever.
Happy for me, the end goal is to do floral design full time. That's my end goal. That's my goal. That's my dream.
Okay.
Um, I don't necessarily know if that means I'll end up in a shop or not, or having my own shop.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really, I mean, I kind of have some thoughts about that. I kind of would like to just because I love being around people
Okay.
and the aspect of people coming in and um that kind of gives me joy. So I kind of have this idea of having my shop around the design of people will come in and I would make something for them on the spot. I know that's kind of crazy, but I don't know. That's kind of,
That sounds fun.
yeah, that sounds
Okay.
fun.
So, and I'm guessing just like if you're like every other human in the world, you need to make a certain amount of money.
I do need to make
And
money.
yes, and I'm guessing based on you being an X-ray tech for 20 years, you're probably making decent money. And would you need to replace that income to be able to do this dream?
Yes, I need to match it. Yeah.
Match it. Okay. And if you don't want to share this, it's totally okay. But is that like $100,000? Is that $80,000? Is that
Yeah.
$150,000?
No, it's
Like
close to 100,000.
well, close to 100.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk about mapping out what 100 paying yourself. So this
Mhm.
isn't like, somebody's writing you a check.
Mhm.
Paying yourself $100,000. Often we would go through a process of figuring out, okay, to pay yourself $100,000, we need to figure out what your profit margin currently is. We probably don't have enough data to make that
Mhm.
call, but let's just say you were running a home-based studio, because we'll use that example, and then we're going to go through the exercise, because it sounds like this is a pretty big dream, and this is a dream a lot of florists have, owning a retail shop. And I've kind of just talked through the numbers when I'm usually
Mhm.
coaching someone on this exact situation to for somebody to wrap their head around like how much would this actually cost for me to do, and then what would I actually need to gross. So do you know what gross revenue is? Do you
Mhm.
understand? Okay.
Yeah.
So gross revenue, we would have to look at, let's just say you're operating by time that you buy your flowers, you pay help, because if you want to make $100,000, let's just do rough numbers of saying that you're at a 50% profit margin, which
Mhm.
a 50% profit margin is probably for that volume would be decent. I mean, of course, you could tweak it to lower, but this is including like paying somebody, paying your for your phone, paying for your website, paying for any tools and education that you have, paying for supplies, paying for water and electricity and all these things, paying yourself rent. So I pay myself as a home-based business rent for my space. So
Mhm.
if you wanted to pay yourself $100,000, that means that you would probably at a 50% profit margin need to have a $200,000 a year business. And
Okay.
I know you listen to the podcast, so I know you've probably
Mhm.
heard me talk about these numbers. That means if you were doing, I'm guessing your average like daily order, will just say $100. Do you think it's more than that?
Well, right now it's less than that because it's like family and friends. That's another issue. I'm kind of I would say, well, yeah, I'm operating at a loss because 'cause I'm giving things away because I'm like, "Oh, I want them to be happy."
Okay,
Or I
let's
kinda
talk
like
through this. So if we just said we're doing $100 or orders, and right now it sounds like we're not operating at a 50% profit margin, that would mean we'd have to do 2,000 orders. I don't know about you, but that's
Mhm.
a lot. That would be a
Yeah.
lot for me, and I'm a floral rock star. That would be me probably being a straitjacket, like doing
Mhm.
all that. So that's why so many people preach and so many educators preach getting bigger amounts, because
Mhm.
then we're chipping away in bigger chunks at that,
Okay.
$200,000 that we would have to make. So with that, let's just say we separated and figured out a way to have several revenue sources. So
Okay.
we had weddings as one of them.
Mhm.
Let's just say that with that weddings, you had $50,000 of revenue. Your
Mhm.
average wedding, then it's all a numbers game. If my average wedding right now is $5,500.
Mhm.
So I can average, like, if I went and pushed more, maybe I would be taking a little bit less attractive, but maybe it's $5,000 average. So that's
Mhm.
easier to chip away at that
Right.
$200,000 a lot faster than $100 orders. So you figuring out, I think, what a number that feels good. Like,
Mhm.
does a $2,000 wedding feel good? Does a $5,000 wedding still feel good? Is it when we get
Mhm.
in $10,000 wedding bill that we're like, this is too much? So that's something that I would, which means pushing yourself, getting yourself out there to figure out, like, okay, I love doing this. Where is the breaking point that this just doesn't feel good anymore? Because if
Mhm.
you work for that other florist and like that didn't feel good, do you know how big of a wedding that was by chance? Was that a $20,000 wedding, a $10,000 wedding?
No, it sh I know what it should be, but I don't know what it I don't know. I'll just be honest.
Okay.
It should have been a pretty large wedding, and it was very stressful.
Okay. What was stressful about it? Just so I understand that.
So, okay, so to back up, the wedding was something that, was like a volunteer type thing,
Okay. So that's
and
weird, by the way. Like, I
yeah,
never
yeah,
ask people to volunteer their time. That's
yeah. So it was more of a, how do I say it? Um, I wanna say experiment. I don't wanna say too much because I don't, wanna get myself in trouble.
oh no,
Um,
no, that's totally, but
yeah.
like what felt stressful? No matter what it was, but like what felt
Mhm.
stressful there? Did it not feel organized? Did it feel like
Yeah.
there was too much work for that amount of workers?
Yes, it was very chaotic, very disorganized, a lot of moving
Parts. And is it
um
partly because you didn't know what was going on because maybe you weren't looped in because you were volunteer help?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So that might be why that situation was stressful. To me, I can do 35,000 hours of weddings in a weekend, and that's not really stressful for me. It's a little stressful when things get messed up, which I had one of those
Mhm,
recently, but normally, like, that's not stressful because we're organized. We have a plan. We know, like, that we have enough help. We've mapped out that help. We mapped out what the help is doing. We've mapped out our recipes. Honestly, not every florist is good at that. They're just they're just not. And that's something I love helping florists with, but like that person also needs to all of a sudden figure out, like you've kind of figured out that you're not operating at the profit margin that you should be. And then you start going, okay, why? Well, I overordered. People used too
mhm,
much because I had no recipes. all of these things kind of start popping up and going like red flags. But most of it is like experience and someone really managing the team to a way that doesn't feel good. I try not to have people in my studio feel stressed out. Like it shouldn't be stressful when they come here. It should be like, we have a plan, we're going forward. If something gets messed up, we just communicate. Somebody tells me, I take photos of it. Like there's just a process built into the studio. You sound like you got thrown in the deep end of the pool with no waders on. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't throw in the towel that a bigger wedding is something that's not on the radar, because I would love for you to make revenue. And I think that you are a organized person that, especially if you got a big wedding, you could reach out to me and I would help you. You know what I mean? You also have tools to help you. And I think you're a person that would ask for help, which is also
Yeah, definitely.
ego gets in the way of a lot of people's success. And I know my ego got in the way for a long time, because I was just like, I've been a florist for 20 years. Why do I need to take a course? Because everybody knows something that you don't. And I like to pick up little bits and pieces from people. And that's why freelancing might be a really good idea for you. And that's a way for you to get experience, and also to experience others their circus. Like, what does their circus feel like? Because that circus didn't feel good. I'm gonna go and try be the monkey over here and see how that goes. And you might be like, this is a totally different situation and it feels really good. Or you know what? Like, I don't like that person's design style. I don't like the flower choices they use. So maybe I'll put myself out to a different person that I'm, see on Instagram. I'm like, their stuff is amazing. Hey, if you don't need to volunteer. Your time is worth money and you deserve to be paid for it. And so then you just move forward with opportunities. Just keep looking for different experiences, because then you're going to really feel you don't have any frame of reference right now.
Right.
So that's going to give you that frame of reference that I think is so invaluable. And it's not going to cost you a bunch of money making mistakes on ordering, because you're part of everybody else's circus. Then you can build up, okay, I learned this over here. I saw how they, wrote their recipes, or I saw how they pulled for bouquets. I saw how they did this. And then you can start building your confidence to start really going forward and making a plan for you to start bringing on your own. Does that part make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have 3 piggyback questions in regards to that. So the first is, I don't know if I should do the bigger question last, because I'll
Whatever you
forget.
want to do.
So as far as freelancing, I have tried to reach out with like florists in my area, but I don't know. I just feel like it's weird here where we just look at each other as competition. So I don't know what else to do. I mean, I've reached out to a lady that said she was pretty busy and she would get back to me, but
You know
I
what?
mean, I've
She
tried
might
like
just be
several
busy.
times.
She might be really, really busy. What I would do is, since you came to the workshop, I would say, here's send her a couple of those branding photos that you did at the workshop. Here's some examples of some of the work that I've been a part of. And, you can check out my portfolio at here. But I'm really serious about, freelancing for people, and your work. Say something nice. I call it a compliment sandwich. Start saying nice things, and then you pat it at the back with the bread, saying, I would love to be considered for freelancing for you, and I think I would be a valuable part of your team.
And then so the second question is, because I have more of a sustainable approach, I'm the only person here that I found that does that. So trying to reconcile my
Belief?
beliefs with I guess the person that would say, "Oh yeah, sure, I would love to have you," but then I don't necessarily
So do you
like.
not want to be a part, if they're designing in flower foam, do you not want to be a part of that? Because that's
I
going
think
to
I
be
would.
a
Yeah, I think
more,
that's gonna be my biggest issue, I think, but I think I would still do, I just won't like it. But
yeah, sometimes you got to do things you don't like to get experience. And I
yeah.
know, um, we do both here. So I have actually I have a cultural decorator that I have to do all sustainable with.
Mhm.
And there's other, wedding planners that I work with that are sustainable, but I also do flower foam. And if I always try to give somebody the autonomy to do what they're good at.
Mhm.
But newer people often are doing things that are more systematic and
Mhm.
rudimentary, like, hey, we're greening these things or we're applying the base flowers. And so the picking of the job is not as easy. But I
Okay.
also, to make yourself more approachable and more like, hey, look at me, you want to choose me. I think putting yourself out there that I won't touch flower foam would be a hard one that people would probably stay away from,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you're the only one. In my market, we have probably a dozen different florists that are sustainable florists. So it's like a bigger thing.
Mhm.
So that wouldn't be, if somebody said that, I wouldn't be like, that bitch. Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, but that's because it's a norm here. It's not
Yeah.
a norm in your market yet. It probably will be someday, but until then, for your best interest of getting that experience,
Mhm.
I would maybe just say, you know what, I'm personally a sustainable florist. So if there's anything in that realm, I would love to do that, but I'm not opposed to helping you with any of the things that you're creating, especially
Okay.
hands-on during design days. A lot of
Mhm.
installations, I mean, you saw it like at the workshop, we had to, especially like on our hanging installation, doing that with foam would have made that so heavy that it wouldn't have been viable. There's just those opportunities that I think naturally are going to be foam free. And you could also maybe lend your insight into that, which might be
Mhm.
helpful. Or somebody
Okay.
even might want to be a sustainable florist and honestly have no idea how. And so you
Okay.
might be able to be that person that just says, if I would do something like this as a sustainable florist, like I would have done this. And that might be really valuable, which I think also positions you in a different light.
Hmm. Okay.
But I
And
wouldn't
then like
stop. I would make a portfolio sheet and send it to people.
okay. All right then. So of just things that I've done and like the branding shoot.
I would do of things that you've done that really stick out. The
Okay.
branding shoot, if you want to grab a few of the installations that you really, had a part,
Mhm.
like you felt like you impacted, I would put those in there
Mhm.
because
Okay.
I think that that is going to position you. And they have, if you go in and put portfolio into Canva, because I think you know how to use Canva, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
If you go and put portfolio in Canva, or even like if you just want to make a one sheet mood board or something, like
Okay.
I think something like that you're sending would be
Okay.
helpful.
Okay.
But just say like, look what I can do, take me serious because look what I can do.
Okay. I love that. And then, so then my final question is, so I think the biggest reason why to be honest, why I'm scared off of weddings is because 'cause I'm intimidated and I don't feel like
Okay. What are you
I'm
intimidated about?
good in that.
You don't feel like you're good enough.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the core.
Okay. In what way are you not good enough? Like to make the items, to talk to the client, or is it a combination? Like you're worried because it's a very special day, or maybe just in general, do you have like a feeling of I'm not good enough? Like in life, sometimes I don't feel like I'm good
Mhm.
enough because it was kind of, you probably listened to me talk about it on the podcast because like my mother beat in a stick of you're not good enough. Is
Mhm.
that your case or where does that come from?
Um, so when you were saying earlier that a lot of people have their ego won't let them, reach out for help, I'm the opposite. I don't have my ego is very little. I'm like, "Oh, no." I worry. So,
Okay.
um,
You worry it'll be good enough or perfect enough or
not 'cause I feel like if it's not perfect, then I don't wanna do it. I feel bad. So I have, like, this really high standard of perfectionism, and so I'm like,
okay.
if it's not perfect on someone's special day, then I'm gonna be really upset with myself.
You think they're going to say something or is it your own judgment that's getting in the way?
I think it's my own judgment.
Okay.
Because I feel like I know what it's supposed to look like. I know what it's supposed to be like and feel like, and if it's not up to that standard, then I'm like,
And what
I
do you
feel like
think
that's
what's holding it back from being perfect in your eyes or
mm,
potentially perfect?
I don't know, I just want it to be perfect. Like, you know what? I feel like it has to look exactly like the pictures or the inspiration photo. Like, it has to like, nothing can go wrong, which I know that's impossible,
It's impossible.
but
It
that's
is.
just
Here's a couple things that I think could help with that. For one, I never duplicate a picture.
okay.
I'm always at least taking 2 or 3 pictures and hopefully smushing them together into a bouquet sandwich because I don't want that pressure of
Mhm,
duplicating that. I will say she is batshit crazy bride that kept like showing me this picture. And I was like, oh yeah. And I even had the picture and it was in the studio. And I even told this woman, I am afraid of taking on your job. And I almost didn't. This was like 5-ish years ago because I'm worried you're not going to be happy. And in
yeah.
retrospect, I shouldn't have took that. I had everybody in the studio look at it and they were like, Jen, you nailed it. It looks exactly like the picture. She didn't like it when I brought it. It
See,
was
that's what I'm afraid of.
she was crazy though. It like every single person who looked at that said it looked like the photo. But in her mind, she had unrealistic expectations. She had a picture in her mind that was not on that piece of paper. And so
Mm,
you can never guarantee that everybody's going to be happy, but you can just say, you know what? I told her I am a florist that has been doing this for a very long time. There's no one more qualified to do this, but I'm a little afraid of your expectations being just hard to satisfy. And
mhm,
I tore that bouquet apart that day and made it airier, as she said, and she was fine with it then. But it broke my heart. It's the only bouquet I've ever torn apart in almost, I think I've been a florist 28 years. So that's happened one time when
mhm,
she is like, I honestly think she has mental problems. Like that's
mhm,
how bad that whole interaction. And I took her on because it was a referral from a bride that I absolutely
mhm,
loved. So if she was an inquiry, I would have probably never gotten that far. But I learn lessons every day. You learn lessons every day. It's just part of growing as a business owner, as a person. And if that happens, I step back and I go, what can I learn from this? Okay.
mhm,
Like, I, for one, shouldn't have had that one picture. That one picture was the kiss of death because taking 3 pictures is then an interpretation. I
okay,
also never promise exact flower choices. You can get yourself in trouble fast and feeling like crap faster when you promise exact blooms and you don't get them. Like
mhm,
I automatically feel disappointed in myself, like I didn't try as hard as I should. I didn't reach out early enough. I didn't find a farm that I just had it shipped in, whatever. Like that's pressure you don't want, especially if you're a perfectionist. So I say I'm using these are the flower inspirations,
mhm,
not like this is what is happening. And I use a script with them. Flowers are nature and nature does crazy things sometimes. I I had a situation where do you know what amnesia roses are? They're those lavendery gray ones that look vintagey.
oh, yeah, I have some of those. I got some this weekend, actually.
Yes. So I had a bride that was in love with those. There was a hurricane and all the ports were shut down in Miami. No flights were getting in here. Those roses were only coming from South America. So could not get them. And literally 3 days went by and the airports, everything was closed. So I am panicking. They came on Friday. Her wedding was on Saturday. I was supposed to get them
Mhm,
Tuesday. I was worried they were going to be dead, a million different things. They came and I limped them along. But I decided that day I will never promise an exact rose type because I can't control a hurricane. I maybe could have tried to find somewhere in California, but what if there's forest fires in California or something?
mhm,
So I tell people that story when they start to push me, like I really want these, you know what? And I really want to get them for you. But
mhm,
I'm also really rational when it comes to these things because I don't want you disappointed and I don't want to disappoint you. And so I'm going to do my best job to get the best flower choices that are available at that time. And usually I shut it down so that this is not like hanging over me like Eeyore and a big cloud is following me around about one of them that I absolutely hate is white and panda anemones, the white with the black center. Anytime somebody wants them, they are always crap. But the next week I will go in and I'm like, you are killing me here. Look at how beautiful these are. It's just like I don't know, law of attraction or something that because I want them, they're not great.
See, I remember you on one of your podcasts. I remember hearing you talk about that, and I've actually written up a disclaimer similar to what you said on my website, just to kind of put that out there.
I have it in my contract too. Do you have a contract? Kind of.
No, I don't have a contract.
Okay. Have you booked a formal wedding yet?
No.
Okay, so that would probably be the next steps, kind of figuring out. It sounds like if you want to start small, I think doing a la carte flowers or micro weddings, elopements, petite weddings, whatever you want to call them, would be a really good idea because that is something that gives you creative freedom, gives you autonomy, gives you something that's different. I'm guessing if I'm a betting woman in your market, there isn't a lot of people doing that.
No. And actually on my website, before you even start talking about a la carte wedding, I guess it's a thing now. I didn't even know it was a thing, but I just had been putting out boutonnieres and corsages and just things like that as like one of my things that I do. But now that I know, like you've talked about it, I'm gonna probably leap into that.
So who is your website company?
WordPress.
WordPress. Okay. So there is plugins that you can use with WordPress for stores. And I personally have a Wix store for mine, but I know a lot of different florists. I mean, that WordPress is obviously something from an SEO standpoint, especially. And then I would start building a cadence in your social media of talking about it. So I think some things on Instagram that if I were you that I would be talking about is that when you launch this would definitely be something to talk about, a la carte flowers. I think you should talk about being a sustainable florist and what that actually means. You can be all the way from like, I don't know if you compost your stems, but like I take all my stems and compost them. I have yard waste. I do cardboard recycling. I mean, all of those things, like breaking down what does that mean? Because that's going to matter to somebody. And then from that point, I would be talking about like, we're accepting weddings. And if you got your first wedding and you were freaking out, we could just book a time together and we'd figure it out.
Okay.
I think sometimes it helps when you know that like, I'm not going to have to just like pull this out of my you-know-what and figure it out. I've had so many florists that just like, we have a session, we plan out their wedding. We do that in my mastermind all the time. We just plan out their wedding, figure out like, what should they be ordering? Or what do you think is a good sub for this? Because this isn't available. Like having somebody in your corner to help you, I hope will give you a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
I know it does for me.
And I don't know why I'm so hard on myself. It's not like I'm not doing the work. I'm attending workshops. I've bought courses. I've got a whole floral book library. And I'm doing like all the hands-ons that I can do. I'm buying flowers to practice on and to make. And so it's not like I'm not,
You are doing the work.
So it's one of those things where I'm just being hard on myself.
Have you naturally been hard on yourself for your life though? Okay.
Yeah.
So what would make you feel like you were good enough in this situation?
I can't even say a pat on the back or recognition because people tell me all the time they like my work. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks.
So why doesn't that fill your cup?
It should, shouldn't it? Because I like my love language is words of affirmation. So I don't know why that's like, oh, you're just saying everything. That's something I have to work on internally. So yeah.
Well, that's something that's probably going to be a core ingredient of this. I mean, I became a life coach and a florist business coach because I think so often you have a
Mhm.
life problem that is holding your business back as well. And I think that this is one of those instances.
Yeah.
Not feeling like what you're doing is good enough. You not feeling like you're producing like amazing things and you not feeling like I honestly sometimes will stand back and I purposely will go, damn, Jeni, like you did this.
Mhm.
And so if you have that moment, you need to give yourself a pat on the back. If you don't have somebody or your partner, like you've probably heard me talk, I have such a supportive partner that he's
Mhm.
like, oh my God, did you see what you did? Like, look at these
Mhm.
photos. Like after the workshop you came to, he was like, this is amazing. The model looks beautiful. He actually wasn't a
Mhm.
fan of the model. He thought like it didn't fit. And I was like, whatever, you're a boy. I know what you're talking about. But like he was like, that is so beautiful. And like you sound like you might need that. So maybe you need to have a discussion. Are you in a relationship?
No, not currently,
Are
no.
your kids supportive or are they not? Because you have
They're
kiddos.
teenagers, so they're nothing
Okay,
is cool.
never mind. No, they're in the take stage of their life.
Yeah, it's
But
all
maybe
take over
if you
here.
have a friend, if you have somebody, like, tell them, like, hey, if you notice something, like, it would just mean a lot to me if you just, like, gave me an ad girl because I'm really trying hard and I'm having a hard time, like, having the confidence to come out of my shell. And it, that sounds like a key ingredient. You need
Mhm.
that positive feedback to really start pushing yourself forward.
Mhm.
And I'll make sure I go on Instagram and give you ad girls whenever I can.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause, I think that's another thing. It's one thing when your circle congratulates you, but it's also another level when it's someone that's like a peer or
Yeah.
that says, "Yeah, you really did a good job."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a very deep, bigger conversation that I'd love to have sometime. But like, I think that anywhere you can give even yourself that like setback
Mhm.
and say, like, Roberta, you did the damn thing. Because I know you could, I've seen your Instagram. I know you can do the damn thing. Like you can. And, you know, don't always look for external validation because
Yeah.
that's what's tricky is when you get tied up into everybody else's opinion and everybody else's feedback, like then you start to shrink internally yourself a little bit
Mhm.
and start to think that my opinion doesn't matter. And honestly, my opinion is the one that matters most to me. Like
Mhm.
I need to feel good about how something looks. I need to feel good about the way a wedding went down or how the bride's, whatever it is, like my
Mhm.
opinion matters. Your opinion matters. And
Mhm.
so start practicing anytime you do a great job. Like, even if I don't know if you're a fan of Mel Robbins, but that high five, like high five yourself in the morning in the mirror, like those things work because you're starting to really pump yourself up. And it sounds like
Mhm.
that would be helpful in any way we can do that.
Yeah.
Are there
Thank you.
any other questions?
Yeah, so you
Yeah, I think you
mentioned
have a list.
yeah, I do. I'm gonna go through them quickly.
Okay.
So I know the one question is my SEO.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong with that. I had someone that kinda help me with it, but, um,
How do you think it's not working?
because 'cause I'm not getting any traction, so I feel like it's not working.
Okay. So one thing about SEO is I'm actually going to pull up your website really quick. All right. And it is Hiawatha Floral Co. or tell me.
Floral Design Co. Do you need me to spell it?
Oh, and then you're in let's just see if it pops up. Oh, it popped up. All right. So you look like when I look at what the first free, I'm going to share my screen so we can actually look
Okay.
at it together. Okay, so this is me
Mhm.
Googling it out of the Minneapolis market. So
Mhm.
that does matter. Where you're geolocated is going to produce different results often. But a lot of times florists, uh, what tricky about this is that we're Googling not necessarily your direct name, but floral in your area. So
Mhm.
like, let's just say that, we want to send flowers to Plainfield or Greenfield or Greenwood or Indianapolis. Like somebody's going to probably put floral delivery, but
Mhm.
right here, all of your text is said this florist delivers exceptional quality, stunning arrangements, blah, blah, blah. This is speaking to everyday arrangement, to
Mhm.
flowers and plants. So
Mhm.
your voice of your website is talking about attracting everyday orders.
Okay.
Is that what you want it to do?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay. So my
Like, yes,
second,
I do want every day, but I also wanna do, like, micro weddings and things like the event.
okay. So then I'm going into your website on this main page. It says
Mhm.
shop now, romantic, colorful, whimsical, sustainable. I honestly think that this text is a little
Mhm.
bit simple. I think a little bit more elevated text might help
Mhm.
bring the vibes up a little bit. But
Okay.
in your main navigation, you do not have one thing that says wedding or micro wedding or elopement
Okay.
as a main navigation tool. This
Okay.
picture on your home screen does not have a bridal bouquet.
Okay.
So I'm guessing under services, do we have weddings?
Yeah, but it just kinda tells the little things of what I do.
Okay, and these aren't clickable?
No.
Okay. So I would have under services, these would be drop down pages. So
Okay.
you have, but I honestly, if you want weddings to be a, mainstay,
Mhm.
I would have that be a navigational page. So weddings should have their own page. Then you can put daily deliveries and subscriptions.
Okay. As
That
a separate drop
that
down.
would be a separate drop down.
Okay.
Or if you just wanted to keep your services page, I would have, you're going to have weddings first, daily deliveries, and subscriptions. I think, do you do a lot of wearables or personal flowers?
That was one thing that I really wanted to do, like, a lot of my has been, like, I'm sorry, daddy-daughter, corsages, bracelets, um, boutonnieres, that kinda thing.
Okay. So I think that's not where a huge chunk of money is going to come from. So again,
Okay.
I want that focus to be like where your revenue producing
Mhm.
item. And honestly,
Okay.
a subscription, a event, a
Mhm.
wedding, or a funeral are going to be larger dollar amount items. So we
Okay.
want to give more real estate on our website to those. We want to
Okay.
give more weight to those. You have
Mm.
About Us and Meet Me in two tabs. Those could probably be combined.
Okay.
And then let me look at your store. So in your store, let me just see what happened. Okay, so these are shoppable.
Mhm.
Okay. And somebody can completely check out on here.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I think that this is a good start. We probably can get rid of Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Let's look under base arrangements. Like this, I would start to dial in, like you have an everyday section. And then if
Okay.
you want to drill into those services that you were mentioning, you got your, let's just say your birthday, your anniversary, like your subcategories.
Mhm.
You could put those under that separately. Do you know what I mean? Like you could have
Mhm.
elections
Okay.
of those items, which right here you have bouquets, vase arrangements, specialty arrangements, seasonal arrangements. Like to me, like those could
Mhm.
be washed kind of together.
Mhm.
And then you're shopping birthday, you're shopping
Okay.
the anniversary, rose arrangement, things like that. But
Okay.
you don't have any shoppable weddings on here, which we talked about. So I definitely would dig into something shoppable.
Okay.
I do think that this is weird. When I was on the homepage where your name logo was, it does say Roberta. That's
Mm.
confusing. I don't know why
Okay.
that's there. So I would maybe like figure out how to
Remove that.
get rid of that.
Okay.
And then you have none of the workshop pictures on here.
Yeah, I haven't updated it yet.
I like this happy client. And I do see your Instagrams on here, which is great. And then you have, I don't know if down here you can develop by, if you could take that out, because I don't,
Okay.
for one, I don't like, that's your last name if I'm correct, right? Like, or whoever the fuck.
That's the yeah, Yusuma was the developer, so I didn't know if I could take it off.
Usually you can. Yeah.
Okay.
And then do you have a Twitter and all these things down here?
No. I
I
have
would get rid of
Instagram,
those.
Facebook. Okay. Get rid of the extra account. Okay.
Yeah. And then this contact us. When it blows up, it's a little bit pixelated.
Okay.
I don't know if we can choose a different photo.
Okay.
But I mean, I think you probably just need to update it from Mother's Day. I would definitely choose a different photo. This one's kind of dark and moody, and
Okay.
most, like everyday flower orders are a little
Mhm.
bright and cheery.
Okay.
But I'd figure out those are just some like quick things that I noticed that I think would elevate that. Then
Okay.
I would develop, I think you probably listened to my episode talking about content pillars. So in your, strategy on social media, I
Mhm.
would develop like content pillars that you want to talk about. And even if that's 3 things, that's
Mhm.
great if you pick that you're going to consistently post on those 3 things. So maybe on Mondays you have some type of meet us Monday, I call it, but you don't have to put the word meet us or, about us or anything. It can just be like, hey, my name is, and I'm the face behind,
Mhm.
floral design. Or if you want to talk like a different post about something that you really love. I did a throwback of my high school graduation photo with me in photos. It could be the
Mhm.
first thing that you ever made that you took a photo of. It could be how you work with you, what services you offer. There's a pretty lengthy kind of,
Mhm.
you know, uh, different topics you could do. And then I would pick one day that you're talking about weddings, and
Okay.
that could be posting pictures from the workshop or something like that. And then I would pick a day that you're going to talk about a la carte weddings
Okay.
or micro elopements, petite weddings, whatever you want. I would start talking about that.
Okay.
And then like pick a day each week. Like I'm going to talk about this on this day, this on this day, this on this day. And then if you want to say on 2 other day, I'm just going to post pretty pictures just so I'm
Okay.
making some content. All right. Is there more
Okay.
questions in there?
I was gonna ask about doing corporate or how do you get into that, but I think I probably should just work with what I've already got going on.
I think when you start to focus on so many things, your effort and your energy and
Yeah.
your messaging gets diluted so that,
Okay.
building those initial like foundations up, I think would be really helpful.
Okay. And then would you like for the wedding, since I don't have any clients, would you suggest like doing mock-up? Like, um
So I just did an a la carte flowers like shoot. So I put a mini photo shoot together and I made all the different items and had them photographed like in partnership with a photographer and a venue and a
Mhm.
dress company. So I made it kind of a next level shoot, but you could get somebody that's, cute wearing a white dress on a solid background wall and
Mhm.
make those things. I have an episode on the podcast, how I made 12 items out of $75 of flowers. So if you
Mhm.
listen to that episode, like I took the flowers, started with the biggest, tallest, longest stemmed item, and then kept like remaking them, cutting them down, taking pictures, doing
Mhm.
it again all the way down to like the corsagers and boots where I was basically had the nubs left on the flowers.
Mhm. I've done that before, where you just kinda start with centerpieces and then just kinda work your way
Yeah,
down.
like a memorial type arrangement or a vase, a
Mhm.
taller vase arrangement, then go down to a regular glass vase arrangement, like a 6x6 cylinder, then go about down to a compote bowl and that
Mhm.
progression.
But it doesn't have to be fancy, because I think I listened to one episode where you were telling someone that if they were to do a mock-up, but do it in a place that they thought or that they would use for a wedding, but
If they have a relationship with the venue, I definitely
okay,
think that that is going to look more elevated. But I also have a table here. I have
okay,
plates and spoons and all those things that if I want to do a mock-up here, I have a solid base wall. I can make that mock-up here if I want. So
okay.
that is also an option. But a lot of people have relationships with the venue, and so that, because they've delivered stuff there or they're trying to make a
Mhm,
relationship. And, if you know a photographer, like starting those friendships is
mhm.
something that I would do on Instagram is start liking other wedding professional
Right.
pages. You've probably heard me talk about that before.
Yes.
I
Mhm,
mean, honestly, I had one of the best photographers I think in my market did my photo shoot. I helped her do a styled shoot that she was dying to do, so I got amazing photos out of that as well. There's a videographer that just thinks like that my workshops, oh, you met him, Tim. He just thinks
mhm,
they're so fun, and he thought that styled shoot thing sounded so fun. And so like he came and did a whole like video shoot day. The venue I was at the Lumineer, the venue
mhm,
you came to. I have a great relationship with them. So it's all about like building relationships with
mhm,
places. And then you're just like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would this be something you would be interested in? They're like, yeah, sure, you can do that. And you're just like, every time like somebody says yes to me, I'm doing like a little happy dance inside because like
mhm,
they're giving me something of extreme value,
mhm,
and I also do nice things for them. Like I brought them a gift and, I send Christmas presents and those kind of things because I'm cultivating those relationships at a deeper level. Does that make
So should I do something like that with, elopement, like, officiants? Because I kind of liked, like you said, like, liking photographers, but I started doing that with, like, elopement officiants and, like,
If
small chapels.
if they're specializing that, and especially if they have a package
Mhm.
that they're doing like a micro elopement package and they're including like these kind of items, trying to get on something like that could be really interesting.
Okay. Okay. And then as far as, my social pillars, do you suggest that maybe I should do, like, a blog on my website?
So I think for driving, especially about sustainability, I think so. What I call a blog is your queen content. That is like
Mhm,
your kind of a pillar or foundation for you to get lots of little pieces of content
mhm,
out. So if you have a blog, then you can post that on your social, and then you
okay,
can post that in your stories with a direct link to your blog. And you just create this like kind of consistent content that's
mhm,
easier for you. And then that's filling your SEO cup because you're writing about like 10 tips to have a
mhm,
sustainable wedding.
mhm,
Um,
absolutely, yeah,
like I don't know if you've used ChatGPT yet, but if you could go in there and just ask it to write blog posts, 10 ways to have a sustainable wedding, 10 or 3 ways to reuse your flowers after your wedding to be more sustainable, 5
mhm,
things to look at in a sustainable florist. You're going to be the only one.
mm, okay,
And then you could do something on a blog post on what's a micro elopement. What is appropriate for
mm,
flowers for a micro elopement?
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes really good sense.
So then
Yeah,
you
like
take that content and delineate it down. And if you really put your brave girl panties on, then you could do a little video that just says, hey, head to my blog and check out. And you'd be like, I would die, but I think you can do it.
yeah. Okay, I'll work on that. Work on the
You were
current
like, I'll get right
situation.
on that, Jen.
Okay. This is really good, helpful. Very good
Good.
help.
Well, that's what I intended, and it's great to finally connect with you because I got to meet you, and I know we went back and forth, but it's
Yeah.
nice to actually connect a little bit and learn a little bit more about you. And then if anybody else that's listening wants to do a biz breakthrough call, please head to my website. There's an application on there and also in my Instagram because I thought every one of them that I've done so far has been really different, and yours is completely different than the other two I did. So that's always fun to be able to have some diversity in it. But
Yeah.
any other questions or are we good?
No, I think we're good. This has
All
been a
right.
lot, and it's been so good. It's very encouraging too. It's
Well,
like I have a plan of
I
where to
believe in
go.
you. I know you can do this. You
Yeah.
can take x-rays of people's stuff and do that. I mean, this is easy.
Yeah, I've done some really wild things in my X-break.
I'm sure. I'm sure you probably could write a podcast just about the weird things
Yeah.
that I've taken x-rays of. And that probably would actually be really fascinating. But so I know you can do this.
Yeah.
This is easy. This is fun. This is like giving, and you deserve that too. So